Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today we are reviewing the COLOURPOP and Legend of KORRA collection. I got everything sent in PR and it honestly is so cute. So you guys know I got your swatches, your comparisons, a full review, 3 looks, everything you need to know we'll talk about today. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and hop right into the video. So we're going to review the collection product by product. So if you are curious about something specific, I will have timestamps. So if you want to just skip along, you can go ahead and do that. But I always like to start off with the eyeshadow palette because typically that is the most exciting thing. And this is the palette here. It is just called the Legend of KORRA palette. We have all the main characters on the cover slip, but when you actually slip the palette out, we have the navy book packaging with KORRA on the front, the main character. And as you open up the palette, it is a 15 pan palette. We have all the shadows. You can kind of see that there is the water, earth, fire, and air sections. And overall, we get a mixture of mattes, mattes with little shimmers in them. We have super shocks and also metallics as well. And overall, I really enjoyed this palette. I think I was able to create really nice monochromatic looks, which you guys will obviously see towards the end of the video. I do think it's a little bit repetitive with the first Avatar palette. I think this one just has more greens in it, but other than that, it's actually quite similar. But I do like the versatility in this, where you can do a completely blue look, a completely green look, a completely like mustard look, or a completely red look, or you can mix and match. I think the color story, you know, speaks to the theme of the collection, so I can't complain. I love all the little details and the little embossment. Again, very similar to the first Avatar palette. And overall, I really did enjoy everything. I think it's a really well-rounded palette. I think for me, what really stands out are the blues. This blue look today, oh my gosh guys, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed, honestly. And it's just like the blues is only like 4 colors, but those 4 colors really just stood out to me, and this blue look, I am living for this blue look. So overall, I really enjoyed it, but I don't think it's like my most favorite palette. And then next up, something really exciting, we have a whole new formula from COLOURPOP. These are their chrome liquid shadows. There are 4 different shades and they go for $13 US each, which is quite pricey, you could say, considering that you don't actually get a lot of product. It's 1.5 grams. And I do notice that with like multi-chromes, duochromes, they typically are a little bit more expensive, so I can see why they, you know, put it in a smaller little packaging for a more affordable price point. And this is really cool. I feel like COLOURPOP should have done this a long time ago. I think a lot of brands did multi-chromes, duochromes. That was, you know, there was a time for it. I mean, there's still a time for it now, but I think they should have jumped on it earlier. And I think they should have done it like not in a collection, because I feel like sometimes people don't really look into these collab collections and see a new product. I wish they would have just released it on its own, like in COLOURPOP's range, rather than it being in like a limited edition collection. But in typical COLOURPOP fashion, they probably are gonna release these in just normal packaging, not in a collection. But we got like a little sneak peek on it, and honestly guys, these are really good. I really enjoyed these. So they are like a liquid multi-chrome type of shadow. I don't think I own anything liquid like this. A lot of the multi-chrome products I own are eyeshadow or eyeliners. I don't have like a liquid form of this, so you know, I don't have anything to compare it to, but it's actually a really nice formula because it is really pigmented. You can get one swipe and a big pigment there, and it does dry down pretty quick, so you do have to work fairly quick with it. But with that being said, because it dries down pretty quick, it does sit in place and there is no budge, no creasing. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't know if it's like, you know, I'm getting older, turning 27 in 2 months. I don't know if it's like my creases are getting deeper, but I do notice sometimes with my eyeshadow, it has been creasing a little bit more. But when I wear these shadows, these do not crease at all. They sit in place, which is great. It's just that you gotta work a little bit quicker with it. So it's like liquid to powder kind of formula, you could say. And then I would say for like the shifts, I don't know, maybe multi-chrome is just really hard to capture, but when you swatch it, you definitely can see all of the multi-chrome flips. But I would say once it's on the eye, you definitely just see more of the one shade, and you gotta really like turn your head all the way around to see the flip. So I would say on the eyes, it doesn't look like how it looks like in the tube, but I think that probably would be more to lighting and like the angle that you're looking at it. But I think overall, these are really pretty. I think the shades they came out with are so pretty as well. I think my favorite would have to be the water, which is what I'm wearing on my eye today, with the blue eyeshadow. Oh, it's just everything. I'm living for this blue look, guys. I love it. Would recommend. I know right now, I just checked online, they are sold out. Hopefully they come back with it, or you can get it in the full collection. So these ones I really love, and hopefully ColourPop will, you know, re-release these in just a permanent lineup or something like that. And then next up in the collection, we have two graphic ink liners. These go for $10 US each. So there's only two shades, which I was so confused because I thought I was just missing part of the collection and they only sent me two. Usually come out with 4 or 3. So usually there would be like 3 eyeliners, 3 lipsticks. They usually set it in 3s or 4s, never in 2. So I really thought I was missing part of the collection because it was KORRA, and I forgot this girl's name, okay, I'm so sorry. I did watch Legend of Korra. I watched The Last Airbender the whole season. That is what I grew up with. I feel like Legend of Korra came out a little bit later. I did watch like the first few episodes, and then my nephew watched it, and I kind of just watched it with him here and there. Like if I walked past the living room, I would like, you know, tune in a little bit. So I'm not too familiar with everyone. I don't remember everyone's name like I would with The Last Airbender. So I thought there would be like more characters in the graphic ink liners or something. I do feel like overall this collection does feel a little bit rushed with the little details. They're missing the main characters. I don't know why the main characters don't have their own packaging. I know we saw that in the Last Airbender collection. Sokka didn't have his own little product. That's just what I'm feeling, but regardless, there are two graphic ink liners. So the first shade we have is called Heart to Heart, and this is like a reddish brown, and the second shade is called korraxcolourpop, which is like a periwinkle blue, which is also cool as well. I actually really like these two. They performed pretty well and I had no issues with them, so I really did enjoy these. Wouldn't be like a highlight in the collection, but I mean, if you wanted to pick up a periwinkle blue or a reddish brown, then I would recommend, but it's not like on the top of my recommendation in this collection. Then we have a Super Shock highlighter. It's in the super big packaging. The shade is called Spirit Wild, and this does go for $14 USD. I love how the outer packaging looks. I love the colors, and the thing is, this is how much I didn't watch Legend of Korra that I don't know any of these animals. I don't know nothing. Maybe I should actually start watching Legend of Korra again. But anyway, the actual packaging looks like this. It has the animals on the front there, and it's in that really big packaging, but this is just a Super Shock highlighter. And I personally don't like this packaging. I don't think it's necessary for ColourPop to put it in such a big packaging. They should just stick to their original Super Shock packaging and everyone would be happy. But the highlighter itself is in the tie-dye, so you actually get a lot of different shades. I swatched like technically 4 different shades. So the first 3 shades are pinpointed, where I just focused on the actual color, and then the last shade at the end is everything like mixed together. So when you mix everything together, you would get more of like a pinkish rose gold, which is of course really beautiful. And the Super Shock highlight, you know, it's a classic formula. You can't go wrong with it. I just don't like the packaging, but I actually really do like how the highlighter looks. I like how you can pinpoint and get certain shades. So yeah, it's nice, but I just don't like the packaging, and I do think this looks a little bit cheap. It doesn't live up to what it looks like in the outer packaging. I feel like they could have done so much more with this collection, and I feel like they did so much more with the Last Airbender collection where they had the mirror. Like, I don't know, they could have done like a really pretty mirror with this kind of colors or something. It's just lacking some products, you know, it's lacking some characters in certain aspects. So it did feel a little bit rushed for me, I will say that. But then we actually come to the last products in the collection, which are the Fresh Kiss lip creams. Again, there are only 2 shades and they go for $10 US each. The first shade we have is called Loyal Friend, which is like a muted brownish nude. And then we have the shade Partner in Crime, which is more of like a deeper burgundy purple wine type of shade. The lip creams are really nice as well. I really do enjoy this formula. It's like a really opaque liquid lipstick. And then with these two shades, I personally, they're not my kind of shades. The nude is a little bit too nude for me where it washes me out. And then the burgundy red is really nice, but I just typically don't wear these type of deeper colors. But nonetheless, they're really pretty. I think it does come down to personal preference and your type of shade. So if you guys are into these type of shades, then of course do recommend the lip creams. So yeah, essentially that is the entire collection. If you wanted to buy everything as a whole, it is 118 USD. Feel free to use my code JUDY at checkout for 10% off on this collection or anything else on ColourPop's website. But just to note that my code is affiliate, so I do earn a small commission whenever you choose to use my code, but thank you in advance if you do choose to do so. But yeah, essentially that was the entire collection. I think the highlights definitely are the liquid chrome shadows and probably the eyeshadow palette for me, but definitely the liquid chrome shadows are the highlight. They are available in the full set as they are currently sold out right now. That was my thoughts on everything, guys. I do have quite mixed feelings on it. It feels a little bit rushed, but there definitely were some good products. Like, nothing was a dud. Like, everything worked well, but it wasn't like outstanding, you know? So those are just my thoughts. So let me know what you guys think down below. All that being said, let's go ahead and hop into my 3 looks. I hope you will enjoy. So first up, I'm gonna take the shade Airbending and running this all over my lid space first. We are really gonna build up that shadow and blend it up into our crease. This is the transition, the base color for our eye look. You're really gonna see that like peep through underneath all of the other shadows that we're gonna place on top. I'm also gonna run that all over my lower lash line as well. Then I'm gonna take the shade Balance and we're just gonna focus this at the outer corners of our eyes. And honestly, you could actually just skip this step because you don't really see that orange peeping through. But because I did it on my other eye, I just have to repeat it on this eye as well. I'm also gonna take a defining brush and just press that up against my bottom lash line as well. And then just diffusing that out with a pencil brush. Then we're going to take one of the chrome liquid shadows. This is the shade Air. So it has like a bronze to reddish kind of duochrome flip in the packaging. You can see there's a bit of rainbow. When it is swatched, it's more bronze to red. But once it's on the eyes, I think you see more of the bronze. I don't really see too much of a strong flip in this shade, but I will just apply some to my hand and use a brush. I think if you want to get like a really strong application, then use your finger. But I don't like using my finger to apply shadows. My fingers are too big. But we're just gonna tap that on to the eyes. I'm focusing it at the inner third first, but then I end up taking it like all over my lid because I want this to look very bronzy. So I even take it to the outer corners, and then around my crease area I'm using more like circular motion so we do get like a good blend. I would say you kind of have to work a bit fast with this liquid shadow, but it does blend out pretty well. I'm also gonna use the tip of my brush and run this on my lower lash line as well. I feel like applying a chrome shadow on the lower lash looks so cool because you can really see that flip a little bit more, because like once it's on my eyes you don't really see it unless I'm looking down, but if it's on your lower lash line you can see it quite well. But now we're gonna go into the shade Spirits. I'm just gonna apply that to the center of my eyes to have a bit more bronzy reflect. Just switching my brush, I'm also gonna take that into my inner corners to highlight. Now we're gonna go in with the graphic ink liner in the shade Heart to Heart. And we are gonna use this just to create our wing. I actually really love the brush on the graphic ink liners. It's very pointy. You can get a very sharp line with these. But here we have the first look completed, a bright mustard bronzy yellow look, which I absolutely love. Just a simple eye look using one of the liquid shadows, which is so pretty on the eyes. I love how this look turned out, so hopefully you guys like it too. So for the second look, we're going to start off with the shade Mover Star. A nice muted olive green to start off our look. Again, this is going to be the all over base color. So I'm just going to focus that all over my lids, and then I'll slowly blend that up into my crease. Also taking that onto the lower lash line as well, just to get that base going. I'm just going to sweep that from the outer corner right to the inner corner, getting a nice diffused under eye look. Next we're going into the shade Pro Bender, and we are going to use this as our eyeliner. It's just going to be the base for the liquid chrome shadows. Then I'm going to take a bit of earth bending and just using that on the lower lash line to define a little, mostly just towards the middle and then the outer third. And now it's time for the liquid chrome shadows. We're going to be using 2 shades today. I'm first going to go in with Earth and just taking some on the back of my hand, just using a little brush to pick up some of the color. We are essentially just going to apply that on top of that winged eyeliner. And this has a flip of green to purple, but on the eyes you definitely just see more of the green. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that at the center of my lid. Now we're going in with Fire, which it looks like a multi-chrome in the packaging, but once it's swatched, it has like a magenta to dark green flip. It has a pretty strong flip, but you gotta flip it like all the way around. So for Fire, we're gonna just focus this at the outer wing. You will definitely see more of that magenta, but when I look straight, it looks like a dark green. But when I flip, you see that pop of magenta. So I feel like it's a fun little contrast when I turn my head, but when I look straight, it just looks like a dark green eyeliner. So that is definitely really cool. Different from ColourPop, I feel. And lastly, I'm gonna take the shade In Game, and this is going to be our inner corner highlight. This is like a bright lime green. It's such a pretty shade, and it definitely ties in the whole look. So of course, taking that onto my lower lash line. It kind of is like a duochrome because it has like a lime green and like a dark green flip. But alright, this is the second look completed. A full-on monochromatic green look. I love how this turned out. I like how everything is pretty monochromatic, but when you turn to the side, we get that pop of magenta from the liquid chrome shadow, which is so cool and a different take on a monochromatic look. You know, it's a nice little surprise. So I really love how this look turned out overall, and I hope you guys like it too. So first we're going to go into water bending, and I'm first just going to sweep that all over my lid. Such a pretty like baby blue shade. It's a little bit muted, and it's just going to be the perfect base for our super blue eye look. I'm also going to take that onto my lower lash line as well, just running that all over, sweeping it left and right. Then going into the shade Change, focusing this at the outer corners, just stamping on the product, and then we will slowly start blending that upwards and slowly towards the center of the eyes, just creating some depth here. Also using that same shade on my lower lash line to define, and then just going in with a pencil brush using the tip. I'm gonna use that to just blend that in. Then we're gonna go into the shade Air. Gonna focus this at the center of my eyes. This is the silvery shade, but because I'm placing this on top of the blues, it kind of has a slight bluish undertone, which is so pretty and so reflective. So I'm gonna like sort of cut out my crease, but just using more circular motions around the crease to make it a little bit more diffused. Then we're going to take a little bit of a Rebel Spirit, which is a Super Shock. We are going to use this to highlight our inner corners. This also looks similar to Air. It's like a silvery blue, but I feel like the Super Shocks are just a bit more reflective, so putting this in the inner corner is perfect. Of course, taking that into my inner corners on my lower lash line. Then we're going to take the liquid chrome shadow in water. Again, I'm just going to apply some to the back of my hand, and just taking a brush, I'm going to place this sort of at the center of the eyes where the silver blends into the darker navy. This is going to help blend in the shadows, but because this is like a duochrome, it's gonna have a really nice shift, and this duochrome is more teal, so it adds like a bit more dimension of a blue, which is so pretty. It has aspects of purple in there as well. I think this really brought the look together. I'm gonna just use a bit on my finger, tap it on. I feel like you see it better with finger application. Gonna use some on my lower lash line as well, just to marry the shadows and to also get that hint of teal. Then we're taking the graphic ink liner in the shade Korraxcolourpop. It's a nice like muted, very peri type of blue. We're just gonna use this as an accent to our wing, so I'm gonna take it underneath this wing here. Just a hint of blue. It's very subtle, but this is another way you could incorporate color into your look. And then to finish off the look, I'm just going to be adding on these little gems. There's one at the outer corner here, and then one in the inner corner. So now we're going to go into the super big Super Shock highlight. This is called Spirit Wild. I'm just going to take like a mixture of everything by just swiping down. It kind of will give you like a rose gold shade. And you guys know me, I only like to highlight on my nose. So I might just swirl with my finger. I think the shade is actually really pretty. I just don't like this massive packaging. I just don't think it's necessary. Like, they could put this in the original Super Shock packaging. Like, why does it gotta be so big? But this highlight is really pretty though. It's like a pink reflect, and you can get golds, purples if you just are more selective. So yeah, that's really pretty. I love a good Super Shock highlight, but not a fan of the packaging. And here we have the final look completed, the all blue look, and honestly this is probably my favorite monochromatic blue look I've ever done. Something about the multi-chrome, the inner corner, the silver, I absolutely love how this look turned out, so hopefully you guys like it too. Alright, so those were my 3 looks. So what do you think? Which look was your favorite? Personally, for me, it's gotta be the blue. Something about the blue I just love. I will say, I'm sorry, I didn't really play around with many techniques. I come to realize just now that all 3 looks, I pretty much did a very similar technique. Overall, I really did enjoy all the looks, and this blue one would have to be my favorite, so let me know yours down below in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on the collection as well. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching as always. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!